Okay, I'm in the back garden rather than at the allotment. Even though we're only 350 metres in a straight line from the allotment, at the allotment the soil is clay or heavy, and here it isn't. At the allotment there's hardly any stones at all. There's quite a few stones here. I tend to either chuck them over there or on the path when I'm digging, and because I rake this way there'll tend to be lots of stones along there near the path. So this is how I dig. So I've just dug 2 rows. I tend to pile it up. Let's get rid of some stones. So my setup normally should have 4 bins in my opinion. One for weeds, particularly the perennial ones. One for stones. One for rubbish that you're going to recycle, like plastic or metal, and then another bin for the stuff that you're not going to recycle. I've only got one for all the rubbish because I know I haven't got much because I've dug this a couple of times before. But I do have 2 weeds because when you throw them, they sometimes don't go very far. So I've got one there and one there, and I've got a bucket next to you to throw stones into, and I also tend to chuck stones in that corner there by the polytunnel. So I've just dug 2 rows here, and the reason I do 2 rows is that at the allotment, because of the heavy soil, when I'm digging, I'm only digging about that amount, and because I want to double dig and do it that way, I do 1 row and then I do another row. But here, even though I'm doing more inches because it's easier to do, I'm still actually doing 2 rows in a row because that's what I've got used to. So what I'm going to show you next is the bit that's normally like the last bit of double digging, but I'm going to do it first because I've just done some digging here. So this is just forking out over the bottom to make it looser further down. And this is what the French market gardeners did. Right, I've got to be a little bit careful here because there's a pipe with dead. It's no longer connected to electricity, but I've got a defibrillator, so if I do get electrocuted, I ought to automatically reboot. Yeah, there's probably a crocus. Right, so the next stage with the spade, I'm going to skin off the top here and then put it upside down in there. So it's a bit like the Daleks, where to escape the Daleks you use the stairs and hope the lift ain't working. So here you skim off the top and put it in the trench. Now if I was breaking some ground for the first time, so it was all grassy in that, and it was a lot more difficult to skim the top off, I'd use this edger, and what I'd do is just go along like that, and then have it in a row, and then I'd also do it at intervals like that. This is like if it was really difficult to remove the top, so that the size is roughly the same size as the spade that you're doing. So you just take one spade, you just do one spade at a time and put it in. But because this soil is quite light and it didn't have many weeds, I don't need to use this. So you use the spade just for skimming off the top, but you use the fork for the actual digging. Some of the grass here is just normal grass, another is the rhizomal couch grass. So you don't really want to put that couch grass in the trench. wonder what that was. That's too hard to have been a potato. It might have been a sunflower stalk. But that had been from 2 years ago. Probably a parsnip. I haven't grown those for about 2 years. Right. Spacey brakes. So that's a heavy bit done. The digging is actually quite easy, particularly as I go at my normal natural slow pace. So I'll now use the fork to dig 2 rows, and then a big question of just doing the whole process again. Crocus in this garden, particularly along that side there. The crocus is it's basically a weed. Oh, that's the parsnip. I discovered a couple of years ago that if I go that way, I do it rather crookedly, and I might not stay perpendicular. So I've developed a habit of always digging this way. Right, there's quite a few hedges and trees around here, particularly in the neighbouring gardens. So I have to deal with the roots. So this has come from that great big conifer a few yards away. Sutton dwarf broad beans. Right, and then we repeat the process, starting with the forking over off a trench that we just dug.